Hello, my name is Matt Steitner, and I'm a risk control consultant at Gunn-Mowery. As we look forward to returning to the office, we want to make sure the proper controls are in place to comply with the requirements set by the CDC and Pennsylvania government. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf has outlined 3 different phases of reopening: the red, yellow, and green phases. These controls will hit on the requirements for the yellow and green phases. It is important that these controls are followed, as your fellow office workers, family members, and community are depending on your commitment to stopping the spread of this virus. What is COVID-19? COVID-19 is a new virus that causes respiratory illness in people and can spread from person to person. This virus was first identified during an outbreak in Wuhan, China. COVID-19, also known as a coronavirus, is not another type of flu or common cold. People with pre-existing health conditions and the elderly have shown to be the highest risk of developing complications with the virus, but they could develop in anyone. How does COVID-19 spread? It can spread through the air by coughing or sneezing, through close personal contact like shaking hands or touching, through touching an object or surface with the virus on it, and occasionally through fecal contamination. Symptoms of COVID-19 include fever, cough, shortness of breath, sore throat, body aches, and loss of taste or smell. This list is not all-inclusive. You could have these symptoms and not have COVID-19, or vice versa. You could be asymptomatic and not have any of these symptoms at all, but still have COVID-19. Please consult with your doctor if you have any of these symptoms. How you can protect yourself. Cover your coughs and sneezes with your elbow and not your hands. Wash your hands often with warm soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Use hand sanitizer if soap isn't available. Clean all frequently touched surfaces with alcohol-based solutions, and avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. An extremely important step to prevent the spread of any virus is to stay home if you are sick or feel sick. If we can prevent the virus from initially coming into your office, we don't have to worry about it spreading from person to person. Contact your human resources professional or your supervisor if you think you're infected. For example, if you feel sick or have any symptoms that were mentioned on the previous slides. Think you've been potentially exposed to COVID-19 or have tested positive for COVID-19. Each office should have a designated pandemic safety officer. This person will ensure that all COVID-19 controls are being followed, and each office has enough supplies. Again, the best way to control a hazard is by eliminating exposure to it. So prior to entering your office, ask yourself the following questions. Do you have any symptoms of COVID-19 or have tested positive for COVID-19? Have you come into contact with anyone who has tested positive for COVID-19? Have you traveled outside the state or country within the last 14 days? If you answer yes to any of these questions, you may be asked to self-quarantine for 14 days. As required by the Pennsylvania government, the COVID-19 poster shown on your screen is required to be posted in your business if you're operating with in-person operations. Post this in an area for all employees and visitors to see. Temperature checks are required in Pennsylvania only after a worker in your office has tested positive for COVID-19, but we recommend that you incorporate temperature checks upon your initial phase of reopening. We don't want the virus coming into our office, so temperature checks could identify a sick individual and to prevent workers who are feeling under the weather from coming into the office because they know they might not be able to pass the initial temperature check. To be successful, all staff and visitors will be required to have their temperature checked prior to entering the building. If your temperature is below 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll be able to proceed into the building to your work area. If your temperature is at 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit and above, you'll be asked to go home and self-quarantine until you've gone 72 hours symptom-free. Face masks should be worn while inside the building at all times, except for eating or drinking. Businesses should have face masks available for employee use. If you'd like to wear a face mask that you've made or bought, it must meet the CDC face mask guidelines. If you have your own personal office, masks do not need to be worn inside of them if the following conditions are met. You are alone in your office and you have your door closed. If someone comes into your office, you open your office door, or you leave your office, you must put your mask on.
Here's how you can make your own face covering in a few easy steps with items you can find around the house, like an old scarf, a bandana, or a hand towel, or you can make a face covering out of an old t-shirt. Fold it to the middle from the bottom, fold it to the middle from the top, fold it again to the middle from the bottom, and again from the top, and then 2 rubber bands, one on one side and one on the other side. Then you fold either side to the middle, and you have yourself cloth face covering. It's that easy.
Social distancing has proven to be successful in mitigating COVID-19. The following social distancing controls should be in place in your office. No handshaking or other contact greetings. Keep a minimum of a 6-foot distance between individuals at all times. Workstations should be staggered to promote social distancing. All meetings should continue to be held virtually if feasible. Common area doors should remain open to avoid contact. And carpooling should be temporarily suspended to and from client visits. You want to be able to keep that 6-foot distance between employees at all times. Workstations should be staggered and glass barriers should be installed on low-standing cubicle walls. If multiple persons are working in a small area, such as a personal office, consider staggering the days those persons are using the office. Temporarily close high-traffic areas such as kitchens, conference rooms, and break rooms. If this isn't feasible, limit the amount of people in those areas so that workers can maintain a social distance of 6 feet. Continue to conduct meetings virtually. If a meeting must be held in person, the amount of workers in the meeting cannot exceed 10, and you must maintain a social distance of 6 feet. If your office has elevators, restrict elevators to 1 person at a time. Make sure you wash your hands before and after using the elevator. As for if your office has stairs, if feasible, designate certain stairs in your facility as only up and only down. If that isn't feasible, only 1 person should be going up and down the stairs at a time. The goal of all these controls is to ensure that a social distancing of 6 feet is maintained at all times. Building capacity. Pennsylvania requires the following building capacity limits to be followed depending on what phase your office's county is in. If your county is in the yellow phase, operate at 50% occupancy. If your county is in the green phase, you can operate at 75% occupancy. Sanitizing the workplace. Clean all frequently touched surfaces. This includes desktops, hole punches, copiers, printers, etc. A full cleaning of each of your buildings should be performed each day after hours. Hand sanitizer, soap, and disinfectant spray or wipes should be placed throughout your office for use. And frequently touched surfaces should be marked to remind staff to disinfect and wash hands. If you do get a COVID-19 positive worker enter your building, there are stringent cleaning protocols that you must follow, including isolating your worker's workstation for 24 hours before cleaning and disinfecting, and notifying any workers who have been in close contact with the tested positive worker. Steps to safely disinfect an object or a surface includes wipe down the item with a disinfectant spray or wipe, use the item as intended. After use, rewipe the item. Wash hands with sanitizer and/or soap. If you have to disinfect any type of technology, you should follow these safe protocols. Be careful cleaning liquid does not run behind the buttons or screen panels. Dripping or running cleaning liquid can break electronics completely, shorting out the equipment. Ensure disinfecting cloths are only damp and not wet. And if you're using spray, spray the disinfectant into a paper towel first before you actually go and clean the piece of equipment or technology. An important step to stopping the spread of COVID-19 is washing your hands. Wash your hands after going to the bathroom, after you've been in a public place and touched an item or surface that may be frequently touched by other people. This includes door handles, tables, gas pumps, shopping carts, etc. Before touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing, and at least once per hour.
Hand washing should take you about 1 minute. Use a timer or count from 1 to 10 in each of the following steps. Wet hands with water and apply enough soap to cover all surfaces of the hands. Let the water run smoothly to avoid touching the tap later on. Rub hands palm to palm to obtain a good quantity of foam, and rub right palm over the back of left hand with interlaced fingers, and vice versa. Rub again palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked, repeating this action for each hand. Rub rotationally left thumb clasped in right palm, and vice versa. To clean the tips of the fingers, rub rotationally backwards and forwards with clasped fingers of right hand in left palm, and vice versa. Rinse hands thoroughly with running water. Dry hands thoroughly with a single-use towel. If the tap is not elbow operated, use this towel to turn off the tap without touching it directly. Your hands are now clean and safe.
If your office doesn't have these already, a good tip is to post a hand washing poster in your bathrooms for workers to be able to follow along with the steps on how to safely wash their hands. The screen is just going to show you an example of what those posters look like. A tip to engineering something in your building is to try to go as touchless as possible. For example, toilets, faucets, towel dispensers, doors, etc. The less objects a person has to touch, the less chance of the virus or bacteria spreading throughout your office building. If you have any questions or need help with any controls, contact Neil Horst or Matt Steitner at Gunn-Mowery. Our phone number and email addresses are listed on the screen. Stay safe, and we wish you good health as we venture into this new normal. Thank you.